for the book of John, we've got this story, which is unique to the book of John. If it weren't for John, no one would be calling Thomas Doubting Thomas, at least not now, you know. But John told him this story. Several important things to this story. It has Jesus coming back again. A whole week later. It has him saying, touch me. Do you remember the whole thing we talked about, the early Gnosticism? The whole idea that Jesus really didn't have a body, that the spiritual things couldn't become flesh. The stuff that John was dealing with in the book of John. Okay? Great story to tell. Touch me. Touch me. Next week we're going to see Jesus eating. Okay? That there was a physical resurrection. Do you remember the other problem we had? That they had a tendency to elevate people, like John the Baptist, and somehow put them on level with Jesus, and John goes out of his way to say, oh, no, 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 no. The only one that deserves to be up there is Jesus. Right? Well, maybe they had this thing about the 12. Maybe you have a thing about the 12. Do you think these guys were some kind of superhumans, that they didn't struggle with what you struggle with? They didn't have problems like you have in your church. Do you think that they went around with these little glowing things behind their head? See those pictures? And they always look serene. Maybe you haven't read your Gospels. And maybe that John wanted to say, let me tell you about the guys I hung out with. Let me tell you about some of the problems they had. And here's one of them. And Jesus was so utterly patient with them, the same way He's patient with us. And at this point, we have the first ending to this book. Yeah, I said the first ending. Because this book ends twice. Look with me in verse 30. Jesus did many other miraculous signs in the presence of His disciples, which are not recorded in this book. But these are written, that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Messiah, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in His name. What a nice ending, right? Well, we're going to see it again at the end of chapter 21. The second ending. Because later on, John says, oh, here's another story I got to tell you to clear something up. Okay? And we're going to look at that next week. The clearing up story. I wrote this so that you might believe. That you might trust that Jesus is the Christ the Messiah. And that by believing, you can have life. Abundant, plentiful, blessed, beautiful life in His name. Not in the name of John. Not in the name of Thomas. Not in the name of Peter. Not in the name of your parents, your favorite pastor, your favorite elders. Not in the name of some other religious history person, but in the name of Jesus. Salvation is from Yahweh. And we come and we focus on Jesus. And we spend time. And we spend energy. And we spend money. So we have a place and a time to get together. And we sing and people practice songs. And we put together an order of worship. And we have somebody who studies and preaches. And we have people and we have prayers. And all of us is to focus on Jesus. And the life that we have in His name. And the relationships we have with each other in His name. And then we take the Lord's Supper. Guess what that's about? Focusing on Jesus. The blood, the flesh, the body, the sacrifice. the commonness we all have, the communion. And then we encourage each other to live a life that's worship all week long. To remember that Jesus is God. And God is God, and we're not. And we're going to leave that to Him. And we're going to be at peace.